tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Good morning, everybody. Friday, part 1. Guess what? My goodness. We are back on YouTube. So that's the first bit of good news. Exciting. And I'm waiting for Erin. I think she's in the studio alone today. So I don't think she forgot about us. But she might just need to refresh her link. Blake and Erin, part of the morning show now. We've gotten so used to them. So we shall see where she is this morning. Give me a second here. I'm actually going to pull up some news on the pandemic, all sorts of crazy things going on. I hope you guys are listening because we need to go through a few things this morning as it relates to we need to go through a few things this morning as it relates to the government here in the Cayman Islands and what they've been up to. A few people are confused about what's going on. So, we gotta set the record straight here. So I'm just looking for my video, but I kind of don't want to upload it if Erin's going to jump in because I know she's got a time schedule when she brings us in. So in the UK, allow me to put on my second pair of eyes. First of all, we're out of YouTube jail. Yay. We're back. I can't even be bothered with YouTube some days, but we are back. So, Amiria, good morning to you. I see that you found the YouTube link this morning. Yes, good folks, we're back out of YouTube jail, and so we'll see how that goes. I think that they're just a little bit more challenging sometimes than even Facebook. But yes, we're going to have a look at what's going on in the UK. They had a press conference a couple days ago as England lifted their restrictions.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
All right. You knew I'd get it there eventually. You there?
Good morning, Aaron.
I see something. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, just hanging out. See my phone. Refresh link from Blake. Oh, okay. Anyway, here I am. So, how's it going?
Yes, I'm good. How are you? Good morning. Good morning.
You know, just still trying to
remember everything.
Yeah. Anyway, what's going on? What's the latest?
Well, today there's a lot of talk about what government has been up to. Some people are a little bit confused about government giving themselves a pay raise, which actually isn't accurate, but we're going to break it down and explain it to everyone. We're going to talk about, I'm just pulling up my news feed here this morning, the UK, a bit of good news for people who are vaccinated here in the Cayman Islands. Mm-hmm. When you travel now to the UK and you're going through a amber country before you had to quarantine, now you no longer have to quarantine. Oh. Even if you travel in transit through an amber country like the US, like Jamaica and so on.
Oh, really?
Yes. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't get a direct flight. You can't get on that BA flight. You've got to go through another jurisdiction to be able to go to the UK. So I think that's actually some pretty good news for people. And they'll probably be super excited to hear that. So
it was funny. That. Blake actually sent me a message about 5:20 in the morning because he's on his way to the BRAC right now.
And, yes, I gathered as much.
Yeah. And so he sent me a message. Do I need a vaccination card to go to the BRAC?
I know. He asked me as well. And I was like, actually, no, you're good. You're good. No vaccination card needed.
Okay. I mean, I guess he's just trying to cover his bases, but he did leave it till 5:20, like about an hour before he was leaving us.
Yeah, Aaron, you know men. I'm surprised he wasn't already at the airport messaging like, But sorry. But yeah, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And are you out of YouTube jail?
Finally, right?
That's good.
That was sort of a long week. More so for our viewers than for me. Because I'm a YouTube person for consumption purposes, but not really for uploading. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised at sometimes what they put you in jail for. Like it's really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
But so we are out of YouTube jail, and we've got a few people already who've noticed that this morning. So they're back on the YouTube stream. So that's good news.
All right. Well, cool. Well, we will check in with you tomorrow. Coming up at 7:45 for everyone out there. We've got Astrologer Dawn.
Ooh la la! Well, gosh, the place might blow up if we dare to have her on again.
Well, you know, I'll just I'll just promote it and leave it there.
Have a good one, Aaron. Tell her I said hello.
I will. Bye, everyone.
All right. Okay, folks. So, a few of you were getting really antsy last week with Astrologer Dawn. Entertainment purposes only. Trust me. So, we're going to talk about a few things. China. I don't know why right now everything seems to be coming out of China in terms of all the crazy viruses and so on. But I'm going to get some water. So I'm going to play a bit of news for you guys. And then I'm actually going to grab some water. And I've noticed this morning that I'm definitely going to need that water. Just catching up on a few news bits for the day. Give me 1 second. So yeah, so the UK started to lift the restrictions a couple days ago, and you guys got to see the nightclubs. Oh my god, it's just crazy. Maybe we'll watch this one because I'm just surprised at how incredibly. Listen, I guess people are sick of being locked out, and now they're like, "We're free, let us out," and so they're going in the opposite direction than they should be going. And this is one of the reasons why COVID is going to be around a lot longer probably than it should be, because quite frankly, the people, aka us humans, just can't take good instructions. It's like, okay, we're reopening, but our numbers are still rising and you guys need to relax. We're just coming out of Eurocup and all this other stuff. And this is where governments have to know their people. The second they reopen, have a look at this, folks.
This is what life's about. We've all waited for this moment for a long, long time. What did you say, Sammy?
I'm buzzing, me.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody's free.
Amazing to come out of lockdown. It's been so good. It's felt like a dream. People are dancing. We're all drinking again. No social distancing. This is what life's about.
Absolutely. It's been absolutely amazing. It's like literally life's just back to normal all of a sudden.
It's just better to be free again. Not being told to sit down all the time.
It's so good. Being able to dance with family and friends. It's so good.
I can literally not stress how much I've missed being able to go out and just dance and just have a laugh. Like, it's been the best night for so long. Like, I literally can't even stress. Like, I love it.
It's been literally the best night of our lives. Like, we've been waiting for this since we turned 18.
You just want to be free. You want freedom. Freedom. That's all we want.
You want freedom, but you're not worried at all, and you're just excited.
No, I'm not worried at all. No, I'm just excited. New future. Let's get it, yeah. Because I'm a massive social person, me. And this lockdown, I found it really tough because I've been stuck at home a lot.
We've been the last ones to get the vaccine. We've always been the blame. We've been the blame for the spread of the COVID. And it's just nice to get freedom and kind of like brush it all off. I've had my vaccination, and we're obviously young people, so I feel like we've sort of missed out of like a year of our lives, so it's just great to be around people again and just enjoy yourselves.
All right, folks, there you have it. People so excited to be out of lockdown that they're going the complete opposite direction than they probably should be going. So I wouldn't be surprised if the UK enters into another lockdown probably very, very soon. I get it. On the one hand, I understand that we are social creatures and that, people really enjoy each other's company, but environments like a nightclub, it's like, come on, that's a bit extreme. And again, it just demonstrates that we kind of work against ourselves. And I think any government leaders that look at situations like this and what has happened elsewhere in the world are very much aware that the second you tell people that the borders are open, or not even the borders are open, but the quarantine restrictions are lifted, they are going to just go hog wild and do, whatever they want. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, so that's what's happening this morning. in the UK. 2 days later, everybody's out partying. You saw the one guy in that video. He was kind of like, oh, you know, he's been under so much stress, locked up, and we get it. I mean, trust me, we definitely understand that. And, you know, this is now like the best night of their lives. And, you know, they're going to just party. They just want to have a great time. And you, sorry, you think that their vibe would be more of a, you know, yeah, we're going to have a good time, but let's do so cautiously. Let's take our time and maybe have a house party with trusted friends that we know, you know, that are all vaccinated. Did you hear the one woman said that they were getting the blame as people who weren't getting vaccinated? So finally, I guess she went out and decided to get vaccinated. Okay, great. But that doesn't mean that you can't catch COVID. And, you know, it doesn't mean that there are not some impact for other people. So you should still try some of those social distancing recommendations. And when you're jam-packed in a nightclub, everybody's sweating and breathing all over each other, putting all that into the air, you can see that this isn't probably going to work out well for them. So give it another month or so. We will get all of the facts. And we're going to let you know how that pans out for them. If I was a betting woman, which I'm not, I would dare say that they're going to have a little bit of an issue. That's just me. What do y'all think? All right. So again, big shout out to our YouTube fans. Got it back in lock. Good morning, Morna. Good morning, Omiria. Karen is here. Mr. David is here joining us. David, are you back? I know you said you were coming back. Are you in quarantine right now? Remind me of where you are, because I'm trying to remember. I know you were en route or coming soon, sort of thing. So here's the big news, folks. We have ran out of mugs. We are literally completely out of mugs. It's crazy, but the mugs went so much faster than anyone expected. In less than a week, they're all gone. So we're going to have to place another order, I think. A lot of you, I was trying to save some mugs, and then I had so many people going by the office and it was closed. And then they're like, can I come now to get a mug? And I was like, all right, come see me. So I don't even know. I underestimated what I had left on me. So I think it's fair to say that we don't really have anything left. So yeah, there's that. So we got to order some more. But they went like hotcakes. Like literally the young lady at the office where they were said, oh my God, Sandy, people are coming in here. We were like, what's in these mugs that people want? They were grabbing like 3 or 4 because they had to take for this person and that person. And, you know, they just went super quickly this time. So if you missed out, stay tuned. We're going to try to get some more. Good morning, Rita. Good morning, Olivia. Evelyn is here. Anderson. Thank you, Miss Louisa. Diamond Princess Sapphire. Where have you been? I've missed you. Bonnie, Marshall, Alice, Sandy's here. Yes, it's Thursday, which is Friday part 1. But we know it's Thursday. Tommy joining us from Bahamas. Buenos dias, Alba. Miss Ellen, good morning. Yeah, I am back on YouTube. We just have to, like I said, we got blocked on YouTube because of the parliamentary hearing. They said that was spam or something, which makes absolutely no sense. But maybe until then, we don't air any of those on YouTube. I don't know. It's really bizarre. Catherine, good morning. Odette, Carson, Elizabeth. Good morning. Siobhan, Jassar is here. Kristen, Mr. Cecil. Charm says UK government has no choice. That prick Matt Hancock was getting off with his aid. Good morning, Miss Joy. Miss Joy got her mug, child. I love the video that you sent us, Miss Joy. That was so nice. Breaking his own COVID rules. Well, at least that's just one person he's getting off with. As you can see, these young people up in the club, child, they're rumbling up in each other, gyrating. Don says he's raising his CMR mug this morning. We've got more mug shots that are coming in, by the way. Oh, there's a little dog that's missing, or that's found, that someone is trying to catch. I'm going to show you his picture because oh, he's so cute. All right. Here's a picture of this little fella. If you're missing a dog, please have a look at this photo and see if this is your little puppy. I was trying to see if he's the one that there is one that's missing in Prospect, but someone may have picked him up. Look at this little cutie. Oh, he is so cute. I was just looking at some photos on my timeline this morning. You know how they always give you all these memories and stuff. They were showing me some memories of my little Coco. So sad. But yeah, this little one was found Orange Drive and Birch Avenue in Prospect. So if you're missing a dog, if you know anyone who has a dog that looks like this, do let them know that someone is trying to catch it. It's a little fast. And some of these dogs will not go to people that they don't know. Others will jump right in your car and sit on your lap. So it certainly depends on the dog, but this one seems a little bit skittish and not keen to be caught by anyone. So if this is your dog, please go and check out that area of Prospect. Good morning to Louie. Thank you so much, Louie, for the photos that you send. Really appreciate those. Louis always has me cracking up with his marijuana plants. Louis, do you have marijuana plants in your yard? Is that where you're getting these photos from? You have a small little plant in the backyard or what? What is this? I guess in Detroit you can grow your own plants because he sure has access to one. So Louis's photo of the day, let me show you guys this one. Thanks, Louis, for sending these in. Now, Louis was the one who sent the photo of the CMR mug with the marijuana plant. A lot of y'all thought that one was pretty cool. But look at this one. He also has a rose garden. CMR hanging out in the garden right next to that beautiful pink rose. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for that shot. Don't forget to send us your mug shot. Good morning, Emma. Travis says, I feel sorry for us when the country opens back up. Oh, honey child. Travis, you and I both. Rest assured. I don't even know what to say. I mean, on the one hand, I think who's going to be traveling and, they're all going to be in lockdown, but they're going to be so desperate to get anywhere that has a decent beach and a little bit of sun that we might legit be inundated with requests for travel. And on the one hand, I guess people in the tourism sector might think, well, that's not a bad thing. But in terms of the fact that COVID isn't under control anywhere in the world, that probably isn't going to be a good thing for us. So, we gotta be careful, folks, because this is what our future is going to look like. A bunch of drunk people at Stingray City, jumping in the water with the poor stingrays, bothering them. Carol says, good Lord, embarrassed to be British. Poor young people, snowflakes. I've missed a year of my life, blah, blah, blah. I know, they're legit acting like, my gosh, like, oh, this is the best moment of my life. I'm just like, if that's the best moment of your life, going out to a nightclub because you just got out of COVID, your life must be pretty uninteresting, even when there was no lockdown, because I'm just like, that's the epitome of what you look forward to. Louis says that he socializes right here in CMR. Good morning, Mr. Hero Blair, back on YouTube. Good morning, Vernita. Yeah, Louis says, I still wear a mask and social distancing where I go out. Well, the truth of the matter is, as Cayman transitions into reopening, that's going to be what we will have to do. We will have to put the mask back on and we will have to social distance. And that's what I'm thinking. Maybe the next merch that we get should be CMR mask and not really any more mugs, because soon we're going to all need a mask. Good morning, Larry. Thank you for joining us from New York. Jackie's here. Miss Sue and Felicia. Rohan says, good morning. I need a mug as soon as you get the next set. Yes, I will let you guys know. Monique. Miss Morna says, I think he belongs to the guy called Silver Fox on Radio Cayman who lives in Prospect. Silver Fox. Oh, Paul Acal. Let me look at Paul's doggy photo, because Paul did have a dog that went missing. Let me see if that looks like him. That doesn't really look like him, though, unless he's... I'm trying to look at the picture that Paul sent us. But dogs look different depending on how short or long their hair is. That's why, listen, if you have a dog... Hey, Daniel, I see you on Instagram. If you have a dog and you really love your dog, you know, sometimes they get out and they're up to naughtiness. Take a photo of them at different stages, because, you know, when they have a short haircut, they look different. When they're growing out and they're a little bit more shaggy, they look different. So I'm actually going to send this to Paul and see if this is his dog. But we had gotten word that somebody had picked up a dog that looked like the dog, Paul's dog, and put it in a car. So I'm not so sure if this would be him. But an owner would be able to know, because the owner kind of knows, you know, what their dogs look like. So I'm going to post this and see. So Instagram folks, good morning. We just have a dog that is between Orange Drive and Birch Avenue in Prospect. Someone is trying to collect him, but he's being a bit evasive. He or she is being a bit evasive. So we're going to just post this just in case this is somebody's dog that they're looking for. Because trust me, the sooner you find a dog that has gone walking about, the better, really. Because then they start to potentially get in trouble with other dogs or getting in the garbage, or, you know, they start to get hungry after a couple hours of not being at home. Some dogs have good sense to try to find their way back home, and then other dogs just get a little bit confused, really. So thank you so much to all the good people out there who will spot a dog and try to help. You know, I always carry a dog leash in my car, because you never know when you're going to come upon a dog that needs a little bit of assistance finding their way back home. So I always keep a dog leash in the trunk, and then I feel like, you know, I can just put them on the leash, put them in the car, and try to get them some help or whatever. So Louis says he grows his own medicine. Big Pharma has nothing on him. So Louis has his own marijuana plants right in his garden. And here's one that he took and showed us this picture. Check this one out. Facebook and YouTube, folks. Look at that. Here's a mosquito on the marijuana plant. The mosquito's getting himself a little high for the morning as well. That's pretty funny, actually. But yes, thank you so much, Louis. So Diana, thank you. Ramelia's here. And Louis says more dogs end up in shelters because they won't come when they're called, and they spend a little time teaching through positive reinforcement. Spend a little time teaching. Yes. You know, I have been a dog lover all of my life. And many, many years ago, when I had my first dog as an adult, his name was Oscar. And I took him to doggy training, because that's the thing you do, especially when you're in the States and it's like super easy and whatever. So I took him to puppy classes, puppy training. And the first thing that the guy said in puppy classes, listen, you want to teach your puppy early on that when you call them, it should come to you, because it could save their lives. Sometimes they run off and they're about to get hit by a car or whatever. And you want to know that when you call your dog, they will come to you immediately. And so we focused a lot on that particular thing, calling the dog to come to you And the natural instinct of a dog, which is kind of funny, is that if you chase them, especially puppies, they think you're playing a game and they're actually going to run from you. So the part of the rules that we learned is don't ever chase a dog. If they're excited and you're trying to get them, don't chase them, because then their natural instinct is to run away from you. In fact, what you should do, because your puppy's already starting to bond with you, is you start to walk away from the dog. And then the dog's like, where are you going? You can't leave me here. And they start to follow you. So it's kind of like a little bit of reverse psychology. But there you have it. So we got a lot to talk about this morning. Carson says, you saw the mosquito on the herb tree laughing out loud. Yes, he's getting himself a little bit of medicine for the day, perhaps. So, Miss Brenda, yes, let's talk about some of what's going on in the world of news regarding the vaccine, the UK and the Cayman Islands. So listen, a bit of good news, I suppose, from our perspective, is that if you have been vaccinated in the Cayman Islands, this came out late last night, you do not have to, and if you're traveling to the UK, so a lot of people are concerned, especially with children, about how are they going to get back next month or the month after, whenever you kids go back to school. How are they going to get back to university? Because the flights, the BA flights are booked, and, they're trying to find alternative routes to go through. And so this is good news for people who are finding themselves in that situation. Essentially, you can now go through an amber company, which includes the US, Jamaica. Let me just see what other amber countries on the list. And there will be no need to quarantine when you get to the UK. So to be clear, because it was a little bit confusing when I first read this press release, I was like, what? What are they saying? What has changed? So just let me clarify what it is, right? So regulations in the UK have changed to allow residents of the British Overseas Territory, so this just isn't Cayman, this is any BOT, who has been vaccinated under the UK vaccination program, to be treated as if they were actually vaccinated directly by the UK's National Health Service, by the NHS. So what that means for us as a BOT is that when we now travel in particular, because I think if we were traveling direct, there would have been no need to quarantine anyway. But if you're travel through an amber company, they're applying the same rules where essentially you do not have to quarantine. So if your child has to go in transit through Jamaica in order to get back to the UK, when they get back there, they will not have to quarantine. So far, this new position, this new rule, does not extend to Northern Ireland, Scotland, or Wales. So please keep that in mind if you're traveling beyond. And they see it as a positive thing for Cayman residents who have been vaccinated on island and who want to travel to England via what's considered a lot of the common transit countries, the Bahamas, the United States, Canada, Jamaica, and any other amber country. So it's good. So another benefit to if you decided to get vaccinated. In addition, let us be reminded that the UK is not currently accepting the vaccination cards given to Cayman Islands residents as verified proof of vaccination. However, the governor's office has been working in conjunction with the HSA and the Public Health Department to develop a standard certificate in line with other BOTs, which can be used for entry into the UK. And this is a bit of good news. So the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lee, has said that while a letter of certification has been developed for entry through the UK border, he just wanted to remind Cayman Islands residents who have been vaccinated locally that this is for border entry purposes only. So at this time, it is not possible to have a Cayman vaccination entered into the UK's securely verifiable electronic NHS system. So essentially, they won't accept our cards, but they have come up with an alternative method of confirmation, which is a letter of certification. but it doesn't put your status in their system yet. And I think that's probably maybe what they're eventually trying to get to. But I'm sure with all of the BOTs, they are doing whatever is necessary to ensure that happens in whatever method it will eventually take form, right? But, the UK has their own regulations and laws and stipulations in place for how they're handling entry into their country. Of course, you guys know that they're using the lighting system, green, amber, and red. We are on the green wait list, which there's a bit of confusion about. So if you need this letter of certification, you can get it from the Medical Office of Health. And members of the public are asked to apply by email to nola.sanderson@hsa.ky. That's NOLA.Sanderson, SANDERSON @hsa.ky. Attach a copy of your vaccination card. Apparently, you're able to upload it by email. And the request takes about 3 business days to process. So give yourself 6 business days, because they're going to be busy with all the kids going back to school here shortly. So good morning to Deandro, Ferdinand, Tamisha, Renice, Venetia, Leda, the best 202. I don't even know what this one is. Nelly, is that Nelly? All joining us. Dolores, Kinu, Jessica, all joining us on Instagram this morning. We've got Hank, Romardo, Nicardo, Karen, and a few others. So there's been a couple of things going on that we're waiting on confirmation on. We've heard this morning that one of the young men arrested in the murder situation might be appearing in court today to be formally charged. We're just trying to get some confirmation on that. And there've been a potential other arrest that we heard about yesterday for someone who gun residue may have been found in their vehicle. And their street sources, again, this is not yet confirmed by the police, but our street sources indicate that they had gone to the BRAC because things were getting a little bit hot here in Cayman. So there has been that situation. So yeah, we're continuing to keep our ears to the ground in terms of, what is happening there. Things have quieted down a little bit, but, I think we all need to continue you're free to what was I telling you? I was just reading very interesting. Sometimes y'all send the most interesting things that you want us to report on, and we do not report on everything that we get. Believe me, your heads would spin if we did. So there's salaciousness going on in the email chain. But yeah, so, continue to be vigilant. And I think that the long-term plan has to be where the focus is. Taking 1 or 2 people off the streets who are directly responsible for these incidents, obviously what we want, but it's not the end all and be all of the situation. We have to really get the whole criminal thing component under control here in this country. And I feel like we forget so quickly about these things. Louise says there's a campaign circulating that needs signatures for the decriminalization of cannabis in Cayman. The time is now to act. Yes, thank you very, very much. Carol says C3BE. What is that, Carol? Is your phone typing for you? Good morning to Leslie joining us from Florida. Catherine says pay raises approved for Parliament. Well, let's talk about that, because that's not actually what has happened. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, that you guys have forgotten so quickly the facts. And this is where I knew that Brenda says, Sandra, this is total BS. Then they're telling other people very wrong information. They need to get on the same page. I'm not sure, Miss Brenda, what that's about. Just clarify that for me. Because barometric cards are expensive but worth the investment, of course. Miss Sue. Oh, Miss Brenda says, great minds think alike, but fools seldom differ. Are we talking about the pay raise situation, Miss Brenda? Just to be clear. All right, let me clarify. We actually have the story in the queue, and I wanted to review it because I didn't write the story, and it is a little bit confusing about what's happening here, right? So the PAT government, let me just back up. I'm trying to find the story, actually. Oh, yes. I see the story here. So I'm just making a mental note for myself after this show. I need to release the story. But the other writer who wrote it, she does not live in Cayman. And sometimes, got it, Brenda. Thank you. Sometimes, it needs a one-over, especially when it comes to politics, because she doesn't necessarily know the players and kind of what's going on. This is what we know. Remember during the election, if you guys have been paying attention to CMR, you would know that one of the thorns in my side was the fact that the Progressives government gave themselves a pay raise before they left office. Not only did they give themselves a pay raise, but they gave themselves a severance package so that in the event they don't get reelected, which meant that they could not run. That's one way of not getting reelected, like Tara Rivers. Or if they were voted out, they would still get a 3-month severance package. So be very clear about what transpired, folks. They gave themselves a pay raise, and they also gave themselves a 3-month severance package. So people who didn't get in, and we all know who they were, Alva, the member from East End, Mr. McLean, Northside, Ezard, Prospect, Austin Harris. Who else didn't get in? Captain Eugene. I think those were the 5 that didn't get in, right? They were not reelected. They all got a 3-month severance package. Now, the thing that grieves me about this, quite frankly, is they got a 3-month severance package with the people who worked for them. So the little workers in their office, right? Lower on the totem pole, who probably needed that paycheck a little bit more. They're not making as much as the elected officials, obviously. Some of these elected officials are making $10,000, $11,000, $12,000. They don't get a severance package. So the second that the day of election results, and their MP doesn't get back in, they're out of a job. Their contract is done. That's it. Now, as you also recall, one of the things that I had an issue with was the fact that the Progressives government called an early election. Now, they did it in order to save having to be forced to take a vote of no confidence against then Speaker of the House, Mr. McKeever Bush. So they basically said that they were not going to do that. They were not going to entertain that idea. And the only other alternative was to prorogue, I think is the technical term, the parliament and call for an early election, which they happily did. And so this calling of an early election, my gosh, it's amazing how dirty your glasses can get, folks. This calling of an early election meant that they had unfinished business. One of the bits and pieces of their unfinished business was that they had, cabinet had decided to give, the MPs and whatever this pay raise, but they hadn't yet allocated the budget for it. And there was other things that they also left on the table. Now, the Progressives has a reputation of doing this. And in fact, if you go back to comments made by the Auditor General, you will see that this isn't the first time. And the Auditor General has basically said that the Progressive government needs to stop doing this. They leave unfinished business on the table, and a lot of times it has to do with money. But of course, they were assuming that they were going to be getting back in without any issues, and they would be taking the government again, and that essentially they would be in good stead to just get in and pass whatever budget and whatever unfinished business that they had left over. Well, lo and behold, the people kind of put a little monkey wrench in their plans. And so they actually did not take control of the government. Many of them were reelected, but they did not get control of the government. So that has now left the new PAC government to finish their business. And so it is already passed. It's already done. So it's not like the PAC government got in and had a debate or made a decision to give themselves a pay raise. What they're actually doing is they are finishing unfinished business in the sense that the budget component of it now has to be taken care of. So I think that it's important for people to understand this because it's really, really easy. And I see some of the headlines that are out and about in relation to this. And so it's really easy to say, oh my God, the PAC government has just gotten in there. And all of a sudden they are already giving themselves a pay raise. Well, that isn't what they're doing. So I think to be fair to them, we do need to be as detailed as possible and really explain what has happened. It's like the other situation with the tourism stipend. This is another bit of unfinished business that the Progressive government has really left the country in a lurch about, right? So they only funded the tourism stipend until the end of May. Purposely, I'm sure, because once again, they're like, oh, we're going to get in, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that they then did is they ran a campaign of, oh, if we get in, we are going to give you guys a pay raise. Well, they can say that all they want, but there was no documentary evidence that the PAC government had put anything in place to increase that stipend. So that was just political rhetoric, if you ask me. Promises, and you know what Nemo came on and tell you better listen to them. What is it? A promise is a comfort to a fool. Somebody can promise you all kind of things, and at the end of the day, none of it really matters in the sense that if they cannot deliver, or if they do not have the mechanisms even in place to deliver, pay them no mind. So this is exactly what they did. They funded the tourism stipend program until the end of May. And so the government had to do through supplemental funding. They had to request another $27 million from the Finance Committee. But the decision was, made to fund it through the end of May. The decision has been made to extend it beyond that point, obviously. Now, the other thing that the PAC government, not the PAC government, but the Progressive government didn't tell you is despite the fact that they had funded it until the end of May and they were making you promises, again, promises comfort to a fool, of how you were going to get this increase if their government got back in, there was no place in the budget. They didn't say where that money was going to come from. And so it's interesting because they had no plan. Ooh, what's going on with RCIPS? Oh, damn. Yep. Sorry. You know how we get the breaking news here. So remember, I was just telling you guys, stick a pin. I'm going to come out to that PAC discussion. Remember how I was just telling you guys that we heard this morning that, wow, snaps. We heard this morning that, We heard this morning that the guys were going to be in court. At least one of the guys was going to be in court this morning. Well, we've just gotten confirmation. Thank you so much for our astute listeners. That the 36-year-old man that was arrested on Friday, July the 17th, in the Bodden Town District, this was the one in Lower Valley actually, has now been charged with murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and possession of an unlicensed firearm. I think at this point we can probably just tell you who this person is, because I think we all know at this point. Let me just clarify something, because I wonder if they actually took him to court already. So listen, 5 counts of attempted murder and possession of unlicensed. They're not kidding with this guy at all. So 2 arrested, a 35-year-old and a 36-year-old. We know who both of them are. The police had previously asked us not to name them as they were continuing the investigation, but now that they have been charged, I think that has been lifted. So let me just see here. So yes, honey child, apparently he was renting from a little old lady in the district of Lower Valley, living practically in her house. You've got a murderer living in your house, folks. Let me assure you that you need to check people out before you allow them to become tenants, especially if it's like a dwelling house that you're still a part of, because heaven forbid some guys decided to retaliate and go and shoot up your house, and you got this guy living there. Give me 1 second here. What's her name? All right, folks. So that is super interesting. You know, as we get the news, we will certainly give it to you. I'm going to come back to the PAC situation here in a second, but the second person, quite interestingly enough, that has been charged, or not charged yet, has been arrested. So the 35-year-old is actually none other than, oh gosh, what's his name again? I'm always forgetting his name. Brandon Ebanks Leslie. So he has gone by both names. There are people who, on the Leslie side of the family, who claims that, oh, don't give him that last name because technically he's not a Leslie, he's an Ebanks. But you know, the thing that surprises me about that one is the fact that he was arrested in February of 2020, so just February of last year, in relation to shooting. He had come from Miami and was engaged in a shooting, and then he left. He was trying to leave the jurisdiction. And so it's weird, because surely that would have been an attempted murder charge, suspicion of attempted murder and possession of an unlicensed firearm. How did he get out of police custody from February of last year? Like, what's going on with the trial? It's just, sometimes the police and the DPP and how they're handling alleged criminals makes me really wonder. How do you let someone out who you said may have attempted to kill somebody else and a firearm and this, that, back out on the streets before they've even had a trial? Because you know that if they're found guilty, that is a custodial sentence without a doubt. It's just crazy. So, you know, some family members have asked me to please clarify for them, for their sake, that he's technically not a Leslie, but his mother, I think, may have given him that name because of some situation with marriage or something. So, quite interestingly enough, his brother is Matthew Leslie, which we all know who Matthew is. And yeah, it is what it is, folks. What a hot mess. So it's just unbelievable, quite frankly. But yes, so it looks like they've at least charged one, and we'll see what happens to the other young man in terms of charges. What a thing. Our people, boy, I tell you. So yes, going back to the situation, folks, with the PAC government. So these were things that had already been completed. And I know a lot of you think that it's just easy to undo a decision that the previous government took. And the short answer is it isn't, because I mean, we'll have to get the sort of parliamentary experts in here to explain to us how this would have to be done. But Parliament at this particular time, it was just a finance committee that was meeting in order to approve things that had already been on the table. So as much as you think, well, just tell them to undo it, to undo the pay raise, I do not believe that it is as simple as that, especially the fact that they have been given this completed task already, right? So it's kind of a situation. Think of it this way. If you purchase a house from someone, okay? And they've already gotten the green card on the house. So even if they haven't gotten the green card, but they're up to the belting, they're up to a certain point in the foundation. For you to go back and change a lot of structural things with that building would be near impossible. So you might be able to change things like, okay, inside, maybe a wall gets moved slightly or whatever, but you still have to go back to planning and talk to them about the logistics of that. There will come a point in time when there are things that are not possible for you to change. And you just got to pay whatever the contractor is like, listen, the job has been done. Now I just need you to give me my money. So I think it's unfortunately that sort of situation. The PAC government has released their SPS, which is basically their 2-year plan between January, it goes into effect, and up to 2024, of what they hope to accomplish. That's more than 2 years, isn't it? 22. No, that's 2 years. And so there are things in there, for example, that they have about making sure that all school-age children are getting fed, that they are going to put in their budget. So they have that as a plan of action that they will be working on. So there are things that they can do, but I do believe that the expectation that they can just reverse a decision that has already been taken as easily as that in the real world, when it comes to the logistics of, parliamentary proceedings, the fact that they were just having a session. Sorry, give me 1 second. The fact that they were just having a session to approve budgetary things, they were not re-voting on stuff. That's not what that was. So I think, that we have to accept that the progressive government made certain decisions that, yes, are going to impact you and your lives. And so it has to be dealt with. Now, here's what I find interesting. When y'all should have really been pissed off about this and sent a clear message about these pay raises and the severance pay, you actually didn't do it. This is where I know Cayman is not quite right, So now you want to say, this is a situation, the PAC government should reverse this. What you should have done is hold Allen and his entire government, this is what I was saying during the election, responsible. Instead of y'all talking about what a great job he did with COVID, it's easy for anybody to lock down a country this size. The issues that you should have been focused on, the severance pay, the pay raise, all these things otherwise that had been going on, y'all were not willing to hold his government accountable. But yet now you want to hold the PAC government accountable for a decision that the progressive government made. It is a little bit peculiar, I must tell you. And so that's why sometimes I feel like I have to remind you all of the facts of what actually transpired. Now, here's what I can tell you. All MPs and government official, just like civil servants. They are on a pay scale. So none of us know exactly what the premier makes. None of us know exactly what the minister of finance makes or whatever, right? But what I have been reliably informed about is that to offset this pay raise situation, what the PAC government has done is that they have essentially started, and this would be the leadership, so this would be a decision that came from the Honorable Wayne Panton. He started everyone at the lowest possible end of the pay scale. So he's not starting them in the middle, up at the top. He's starting them at the low end. So I think that, give them a little bit of credit in terms of the things that they can control at this point as it relates to that. The other thing that they've done is all of these overseas offices that, again, the Progressives government wanted to spend all this money on setting up overseas offices. They wanted to have one in Brussels, one in Washington, one in Dubai, one in Brazil. There's 5 offices. I think I only have 4 there. Brussels, Dubai, Washington, Brazil. I don't know who else is missing. But we did have an EU office before. I think it might have been in Brussels, or maybe just in the European Union. But the issue with that is now that the UK is leaving the European Union, this argument that will benefit us, because the whole idea here is that we need to have these financial offices as a liaison so that they can do lobbying and logistics for us on our behalf. And there were people who had been promised these positions. Let me be very, very clear about this. There were people who were promised these 5, like they would go and manage these 5 offices. And there came Canadians who were looking forward to living in Dubai. They probably always wanted to travel there, and this is going to be a great opportunity for them. So the Progressives government came up with this grand scheme idea that they would open up these 5 offices across the world to help lobby your financial services and take care of logistics and whatever. The Brussels office, people are questioning, like, does it really still make any sense now that the UK, and by extension us, no longer has an affiliation with the European Union? So the benefits that we would have gotten being part of the EU no longer exists. So if that doesn't exist, then what's the point, really? Like, who are we lobbying? What are we really doing here? The other concern that has been raised is that, and this again was the former premier, the Progressive government has set up this Ministry of Investment, Aviation, Trade, and Maritime Affairs. This is going to be a new ministry. Remember, we kept hearing about this 8th ministry or whatever. So this was going to be a whole new ministry under the Progressive government. And the Alden McLaughlin was going to head that ministry up, right? So he had all these grand plans, again, to spend a whole lot of money setting up all of these offices overseas. The problem, the people who they have earmarked for those positions, so these were all civil servants, all senior civil servants, none of them had the requisite, I think except for one, had the requisite financial services experience. So you're sending them into the lion's den saying, they need to be lobbying people and working on logistics as it relates to financial services industry, but yet they don't know the industry. Did y'all just hear what I said? This is where I need you to pay very close attention here, because by next week you've forgotten what I just said. And then it's like, huh? What a hot mess. So, yes, that's quite a situation. Again, you've got to get all the details of what's happening. So it's one thing to agree or not agree with decisions that are being made, but it's a whole other situation to just make sure that we have the correct facts that we're dealing with. So instead of pushing money into, because they hadn't gotten far enough in the decision-making process as it relates to these overseas offices. So my understanding is people have been told that they would have been getting these jobs. I don't think that they've actually signed any contracts, but promises were made. And you heard what I said earlier about a promise is a comfort to fool. So promises were made, and people were excited about going overseas and perhaps living overseas on the dime of the Cayman Islands government. But what the PAC government has done instead is they're going to take that money from the budget that was earmarked for these overseas offices and use that to actually assist small businesses. So we will extend an invitation to members of the PAC government to come in and to provide a bit more details on all of these things. We do know for the first time ever in the history of the Cayman Islands, the PAC government has committed, and I think, give them credit where credit is due. They have committed to giving a publishing post-meeting summaries after each parliamentary session. So again, this is the first time that this is happening. Give me 1 second here. Let me just. So I'm trying to assist the other young lady with writing a story at the same time. So, someone else is making a comment here. And again, listen, this is the cold hard truth, y'all. And we really do our best to give you all of the details so that you are as informed as possible. Because Aunt Lottie's words of wisdom, knowledge is power. So when you know, you know. So the other thing that you should know is that the former Premier, Alden McLaughlin, apparently had a special car already purchased just for his ministry so that he could have his own car if he won. Let me try to break this down for y'all a little bit here. So currently, the two people that have access to a driver, and this was established way back when by Mr. Bush when he was the first premier of the Cayman Islands, or the first premier, yes, of the Cayman Islands. So there's certain benefits that come with that. So the first premier has a driver, and this was continued. Okay, so he is a personal driver. They drive, I think it's one of the Range Rovers or Land Rovers or whatever the heck they're called. So they have a driver, and the deputy premier also has access to driver. Now, the last deputy premier was who? Mr. Moses? Well, of course, Mr. Moses spent a lot of his time in the BRAC because he is a BRAC MP as well. They get allowances for their offices. And this is another thing. The PAC government had also increased the amount of allowances. Now, not the PAC government, the Progressive government, sorry, the Ps. To be fair to the Progressive government, let me say this much. When they changed over from the Legislative Assembly to Parliament, there's a whole separate entity now. I forget what the official office is called, but Parliament has been separated and they have their own budgets. I think before they fell under the office of POX, the public, what's POX stand for again? But it's the same office that does all the civil servant salaries and benefits and whatever. POX. POX. What the heck does POX stand for again? Civil service, whatever. But that was Miss Gloria Matfield, I think heads that up, right? So their budget was coming under like another section of government. Now that they are Parliament, they're completely separate. So they have, by law and by the Constitution, they will have their own budget for running Parliament and their own, separate committee, management committee for Parliament that is responsible for making certain decisions, and their own staff. And so even staff that previously worked in the Legislative Assembly, it is my understanding that they had to reapply for their positions under Parliament. So here we have two established offices. Thank you so much to my astute listeners. POX is the portfolio of the civil service. half the time you can't remember all these acronyms, right? But yes, so now they have things separated, right? Where Parliament is its own legit and separate entity, really. And the premier, the former premier, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, apparently got very, very used to having his own vehicle. And we know that this was a little bit of a sticking point for him. And I kind of mentioned this during the election. I'm sure that some of you thought, oh, Sandy's just being petty with Alden, but I really wasn't. Alden really enjoys having his own driver. He's not had to drive for the past 8 years. And the driver takes him everywhere. So you see the driver, if he's at the bar there and Breakers, the driver is not far off. So that when he comes out, he can go pick him up and take him home safely because he's probably had one or two. He's just gotten used to that life. And I suppose it is really, really difficult. But the second he did not get elected, and the day that they were swearing in the new government, it was kind of interesting because someone messaged me and said, oh, the driver has picked up Mr. McLaughlin from his house in Prospect, was going to take him to Parliament, but that was going to be their last ride. I would have loved to have been a mosquito in that car, not even a fly, a mosquito in the car to hear what that conversation was like. Because that must have been a very interesting conversation, folks. What do you say to a driver that has probably seen a lot over the past 4 years and will no longer be driving you? Shout out to Bradley, Aiden joining us on Neville on Instagram. So that was his last ride. So listen to how crazy this is. Driver picks him up, takes him into Parliament so he can see the other people get sworn in, the people that he obviously did not want to run the government. But then he has no ride home. And I thought about it. Who gave Alden a ride home that night? Poor Alden. I mean, I could have offered him a ride had he hung around long enough, but I was working, so I had my media stuff to do. But yeah, that's it. He was done. Once the other people got sworn in, that vehicle became Mr. Premier Wayne Panton and Deputy Premier Chris Saunders. So lo and behold, we hear that apparently Alden had the special car already purchased and ready to go for his new ministry so that he could still be driven around. You want to know the irony of this? Remember when Mr. Bush was premier, when he first got in, and everybody was up in arms, not everybody, Alden and his people who were in the opposition at the time were up in arms about, oh, he's taking advantage of the office and he's having his fence worked on. He's got security posted at his house. All of that isn't necessary. And then 8 years later, all y'all have forgotten. And who gets his fence fixed by NRA? Public Works or whoever. New fence put in during the election? Alden McLaughlin. The same dude who, when the shoe was on the other foot, he was castigating Mr. Bush for wanting these upgrades as being the premier of the country. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So this idea of Alden getting this vehicle and all the things that he had tried to allot started to come out if you were listening closely to the proceedings, because our little compadre, the Honorable Minister Kenneth Bryan, is very, very astute, and he knows what's going on, and he started a line of questioning that apparently Alden McLaughlin, who's now in the opposition bench, wanted to shut down immediately. And the reason why he wanted to shut that down is because it was going to be revealed in Parliament for the entire country to hear that he had actually already set aside this money for, this position in terms of the vehicle and all this other stuff. So he was making some big time plans, folks. I have actually heard through the grapevine, and I've not been able to confirm this 100%, but I have heard through the grapevine that apparently some of these civil servants actually have contracts signed for these positions in the overseas offices. And they were so happy to, jump on that opportunity that now they are thinking about, listen to this fallout, this potential fallout. they are thinking about actually suing the government for breach of contract. Because they were promised one thing under Alden's administration, and now that hasn't happened. And so now they're like, you have to open these foreign offices, and if you don't, we're going to sue you. This is a real life fallout, folks, that can potentially happen. So y'all need to be careful. Y'all need to be very careful what you're asking the PAC government to take on and you want them to do. Sometimes when they go in there, they got to just work with the mess that's there. So Natasha says this is not true about the increase in salaries and pay raises. It is part of the reason why many did not vote them in. Check your own program. Well, I guess enough didn't care about that issue to really remove the ones, because Natasha, the ones that needed to be removed, in my opinion, were not really the ones that got removed. You know, the leadership. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, that if you hope to affect any change, what you do is you start at the top, folks. You cut the snake off at the head. You do not go for the lowest hanging fruit, because those are the easy ones. So it's relatively easy to say, oh, take out Austin. Yes, his constituency might not have been happy with him, but he was doing what the head was telling him to do, which was Alden McLaughlin. So really, the people of Prospect and Red Bay should have been focused on Alden McLaughlin as much as, if not more, that they were focused on just a Prospect member. We just hit 400 people on YouTube and Instagram. Big shout out to YouTube folks who are back in full swing. They're like, we're not missing a beat. We're back here this morning. So Lena, in case you missed it, this was unfinished business in the sense that the budgeting part of it was unfinished. But we'll get, you know, the people who are on the inside, we will get them to explain this perhaps in a little bit more detail. So we have extended an invitation to the PAC members, and we're just waiting on them to, I know that they've been super busy as it relates to the SPS. And now that that has been presented to the country and we have an idea of what their vision is going through the next couple of years, we need them on this program at least once a week. And so we have made the space for them to come on and talk to the people. Right now, there's 400 people between YouTube and Instagram, YouTube and Facebook. Instagram is holding steady at another 20 folks. So, you know, 402 people. Yeah, if they know if they need to talk to the people who they need to come to. Let's just be honest. And we do want to hear from them. And I think that this idea of doing these summaries after each cabinet meeting is a great idea. First time that it's ever been done. And I do think that it speaks to the willingness of this government to do things a little bit differently. The willingness of the PAC government to be more engaged with the people. Now, I do think that they have more work to do. And, you know, I think that coming on platforms, talking to the people directly on a regular basis, because I know that y'all don't read, you know. So there's a whole new cabinet section on the Cayman Islands government website. We put this story up, so I'm going to send you the link here for that story. But I know, and you all know, that you don't really read. And this isn't a kick on anybody here in Cayman. This is human nature. Nobody really reads anything anymore. It takes a lot for people to sit down and want to read a news article. That's why we keep our news articles short and sweet, because we know when they start to get like paragraph 5 and 6 in too much detail, y'all like checked out already. You want to talk about your kids got ADHD. The truth of the matter is, because of technology and so many other things, we all have a little bit of ADHD, in that our attention span, as we continue to use technology, continues to shorten itself at an amazing rate. Do you know, for the first time in recorded history, the intellectual capacity of the human race is actually on the decline? Y'all can believe that or not, but I'm telling you facts. So the recommendation is that, unfortunately, they do more and more video snippets. even on this platform, I sit here and I do a 2-hour show. I know you guys are super busy. Some of you are jumping in and out of the program. You're at work, you're half listening, you go back later on and you listen. I have decided that one of the things I'm going to do to kind of bring it in a condensed format and to bring it home is I'm going to start addressing singular issues, like how we've talked about this pay raise. I'm going to go away and do an opinion. It's an opinion piece on just that pay raise segment, and that's it. Because some of y'all, that's all you're going to watch. And you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. For you to stay tuned, although we still have almost 400 people, for you to stay tuned and stay engaged throughout a 2-hour program, I know is a little bit challenging. Also because everybody's busy, you know? So this is a good step, I think, that the Premier and his cabinet members have decided. So going forward, the Cabinet Office is going to publish a summary of the decisions taken by cabinet meetings following confirmation of the minutes, which occurs at the next meeting of cabinet, which is usually in a week. So cabinet meets once a week on Tuesdays. So the following Tuesday, we'll now get to hear what they decided on the Tuesday before. This is good. Remember just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about a cabinet paper and a cabinet decision that the previous government took. The previous minister there, John, that benefited and approved this dock that was just like, you know, planning was against it, DOE was against it, the neighbors were against it. Nobody was in favor of this humongous dock in some rich Crystal Harbor neighborhood, right? And they got sued. The government got sued, as well as the homeowner, to say that this decision was illegal, illogical, and something else. And the court did find on one of the 3 points that it was illogical. They couldn't understand why this was approved and why the objections to the building of this private dock, which was going to have an environmental impact, was going to change the landscape of that entire area, set a precedent that nobody really wants to set. All of these things were going to happen and be a direct fallout of this decision. Cabinet didn't consider any of the objections. And so the decision Judge Ramsey Hale found was completely illogical. And on that ground, it was basically thrown out. And now it has to go back to cabinet for them to reconsider the matter. Given the decision, I'm sure cabinet this time around will actually turn down the request if the person submits another request, right? Or do they have to still do the decision even if they don't submit it? So normally what happens with judicial review is they're going to say, yes, this is an illegal, illogical decision or whatever. And then they send it back to the deciding body to fix it. Just like immigration, decisions, they send it back to the Immigration Appeals Tribunal and they say, fix this. And that's how the courts normally handle it. So essentially, this is the first. Summaries of decisions of a sensitive nature, matters of national security, matters where publication breaches regional international conventions, and any matters that relate to personal privacy will be undisclosed. But I think that this is still a good step, a right step, or a good step in the right direction. And of course, the governor has expressed that he's very pleased to approve the government's request to publish weekly summaries, and that it is a strong indicator of the new government's commitment to good governance, which is what we've been asking for, right? We've been asking for accountability, good governance, et cetera, et cetera. Why would the government be trying to subvert information and hide information from the people, even when it comes to cabinet decisions? Only God knows. And this has been happening forever. There's a lot of cabinet decisions that we don't even know what they're talking about. We don't know what's going on. And so now it's good that we will know. And they've set up an entire section on the website where this information will be made available. So here's a summary from July 13th. And again, it's available right here. So let us have a look at this information. Give me 1 second to share it with you all. This is me looking at it for the first time, along with you good people right here in the program. Miss Anne, thank you so much, darling. How are you? She says, those friends Dunn got new contracts just before the election. Well, you know, this was the thing, right? I suppose the previous government, the Progressives, was somehow they were counting on getting in for sure, and that's why they fought so hard. And that's why they were so upset, even after not getting in. Oh, hold on one second. I got to see what time I got to go to court. We might have to end the program a little bit soon. Let me look at the grand court list. But yeah, you know, they were upset because a lot of side contracts and a lot of deals were not going to be on the table. So yes, honey child. So I was just reminded that that we may have something going on. So here's the first one from July the 13th. So that should have been last week, Tuesday. Is that correct? Let me just have a look at my little calendar here. Yes, folks, that was last week. So now we click on this. Wait a minute. Where is it? We open the PDF. Oh, sorry. It's on the other screen. I was like, hold on a second here. Where did it go? Right. Beautiful. Let's reduce the size. We don't quite need it at 267%. Maybe 200% is good. Lovely. So Cabinet of the Cayman Islands post-meeting summary. The governor chairs the meeting of Cabinet. Yes, that's the protocol. All ministers and members of Cabinet were present. Well, that's good to know. You see, you even get a little attendance record. I keep telling y'all that we know for a fact, because this government did not get in, that some of them are really, really upset and not even showing up to work. Mr. McLaughlin showed up on Friday just in time for lunch, but not before then. I'm just saying. But yes, so I think we should have an attendance record of everything, not just Cabinet, but it's good to see that we do have a Cabinet one here. So they approved the Census Order 2021 and the Census Cayman Islands Amendment Regulations, approve adjustments and appropriations to reallocate funding for various outputs and programs within the Ministry of Tourism, approve the appointment of Mr. Michael Austin as chair and Alistair Mason as deputy chair to the board of directors for the Auditors Oversight Authority. You know what is so interesting about this? Stick a pin. You know, I keep telling y'all that it's very possible that I have a little bit of psychic ability. And I know y'all think that I'm just joking with you, but listen carefully. I saw yesterday for the first time this Auditors Oversight Authority. I didn't even know that there was such a thing. And I went to Physio. You know, they're now in the, oh God, what's the name of that building? They are now in the, it's where the old HSBC building. So they're in there. And on my way to Physio, I see on the door this Auditors Oversight Authority. And I thought, oh, who the heck are they? And lo and behold, I'm now seeing that they have a new chair and deputy chair. I've never even heard of this authority before, so this is incredibly interesting. Do you guys remember also, yesterday we were talking about the conch and how there was this conch poaching in Frank Sound, and all of this conch had gotten stolen, right? Well, someone mentioned, because I was saying those poor people at the Pines are going to be so sick and tired of eating conch. Like, how many ways can you fix conch? And so we were going through all the different ways. And someone mentioned, I don't recall who it is right now, but someone mentioned the fact that you can eat curry conch. And I'm like, curry conch? I've never heard, I shouldn't say I've never heard of curry conch, but I've certainly never eaten curry conch. Like, I didn't even think curry conch was a thing in Cayman. Lo and behold, I tell you no word of lie, yesterday, my husband went to a local restaurant that we frequent all the time. And he says to me, and he doesn't listen to the show. Honest to God, he does not listen to the show. So he says to me, I'm going to show you guys the message because I don't think you're going to believe me. So hold on, because you know my husband knows I love my food, right? So at 1:10, he was getting lunch and he was messaging me to basically say, what are you doing for lunch? And I was like, I haven't thought about lunch yet. Now let me show you guys the picture that he sent me. I need to show you this. So he sends me a picture of what he's having. And he had called me, but I was on another call, so I didn't get to talk to him. But he sent me a picture of what he's having. Now look at what he sent me. This is just beyond a coincidence. He sends me this photo. And I was like, what the heck is that? This is what he sends me. Look at this. Look at that. He sends me this photo of this lunch. And I'm like, and then he's making fun of me. And this is him making fun of me. You know, this little meme that has been going around with me where I said it's sweet, it's sweet, it's sweet. And he says, make sure he's clarifying the food is what he's referring to. So he starts to make fun of me. And I'm looking at this because he's saying the food is sweet. I'm like, but what is it? What kind of food is this? And lo and behold, it is curry kunk, the same thing we were talking about yesterday that I've never had and that I was curious about. Hi, Carla. Unfortunately, you guys can't see it on Instagram. I'm sorry. We pull up these things on YouTube and Facebook, but the way Instagram is live stream, we can't show you pictures and stuff, screenshots. But anyway, this is what he was having, curry kunk. And I was like, did you listen to the show yesterday? And he said, no, because he never listens to the show. And I thought to myself, well, damn, I think I need to have me some curry kunk. So he got me some, and I had it for dinner last night. First time ever in my life, I'm happy to say that now I have had curry kunk, and it was actually really good. Now, you know, kunk can be tough. So when you cook kunk, you got to make sure that you pound it out properly. And this is well pounded, and it was really, really delicious. Not too spicy on the curry, but it was good. And I ate it all, curry kunk and white rice. So big shout out to the folks over at Arbutus. And like I said, I go to Arbutus all the time. And I don't even recall ever seeing curry kunk on the menu. So I'm sorry that you guys can't see it, but if you want to see it on Instagram, switch to Facebook or YouTube. So yes, I just wanted to share that really quickly with you guys in terms of the curry kunk situation. Anyway, Lena says there are a lot of promises made during the election by all candidates, but while I support PAC, what they know the people will not be leaving MPs elected for no length of time, no longer. Everybody is on thin ice, people tired of the crumbs. Well, yes. Shannon wants to know, where's Arbutus? They are in what used to be Merco Center. Now it's called Cannon Place. And every day they have a long list of items, Charlie. They always have a big menu. And their food is actually really good. They'll do like salmon and steak and shrimp and lots of local dishes and stuff as well. But there you go. Morna says she cooks curry kunk all the time with a little coconut milk and she loves it. I might have to try making it. I'm not a big kunk person in terms of like, I don't necessarily eat a lot of kunk and I don't necessarily cook. Like I've only cooked stew kunk once in my life, to be honest. Just because I wanted to try it, to be able to say I've cooked stew kunk. The hardest part for me with cooking stew kunk was getting the pie right. You know, the part that's made out of flour, basically. Because you can get it too thick. It's really easy to get it too thick. So getting it just right. Mine was a little bit thick. And then I remember my uncle, bless his soul, he's passed away since. But I had to have my uncle try it because, you know, he's married to an East Ender. So if he said a dish tastes good, he gonna know what he's talking about. And he's not gonna lie to you just because you're his niece. Uncle Raymond gonna tell you the truth. So he said, yeah, he said, no, this is a good solid first effort. And, you know, just the pie needed to be a little bit thinner. And so, yeah. So Travis says, Cayman Mall Road, who's overseeing the government to make sure that this thing you're talking about doesn't happen again? In terms of the pay raises? Well, that's our job. Me and you. What do you think we're here for? This is why we need to have these shows where we dig in deep Or was this about the boat launching? Well, whichever one, you, the people, need to be kept informed. And quite frankly, that is part of our job. Yes, Dennis says, read what they've said and hold them accountable. I'm personally happy with what they say they're going to do for the people and the country. Absolutely. So, yeah. It is what it is, folks. Yeah, so what can I tell you except we all have to keep an eye on them. That's what we're here for. So curry lobster is nice. Yes, I've had curry lobster. So we have a comment here that amazing food and prices, even though they're slow. Well, I think what has happened, Evelyn said she's going to be running over to Arbutus right now to see their menu. I think what has happened is they get really, really busy. And sometimes you can be a victim of your own success. And I see this happening with like Wellies, right? Everybody loves Wellies food, but boy, you can get really pissed off at Wellies if you try to call them on the phone and order. Now, Arbutus not so bad, but Wellies, oh, Jesus, peace them. No, sir. You call them on the phone and that just rings and rings and rings and rings. Nobody will answer the phone probably 95% of the time during the lunch rush. And I have said to the people over at Wellies, I'm like, do you know how incredibly easy it is for you to fix this problem through the use of technology and just having one dedicated person? Because you'd be surprised how many more orders you'd be getting because you're missing. Listen, after I call Wellies 4 or 5 times, I'm not calling you back. The food, not all that. I mean, it's good, but I'm not starving. There's a lot of options in Cayman, okay? And it's just frustrating. Like, you feel so frustrated that, damn, you got to be, yes, Damien, they need to get with the technology. Online ordering. Woo! Talk about that. Magdalene says, even on a Sunday, that they're not answering the phone, child. I don't know what to tell you. Except it is very, very frustrating. Beyond. And yes, I don't know. I don't know what to say on that note. Someone just messaged me and they laugh out loud. They said the curry conch, sweet, it's sweet, it's sweet. Yes. So this is so funny because you know that whole video with me talk about, well, the context of it wasn't nothing to do with food. It was to do with some of her family members who really love them a Jamaican man because they're on marriage number 5 and 6, all failed marriages with Jamaican men. But like I said, it's sweet, it's sweet, it's sweet. So now that has gone a little bit viral in that it's been seen by a lot of people. Let me put it that way. I think probably that video and the one with me cussing y'all out, you young people on Instagram, about the whole hair thing, when my hair was fly away, hot mess, and you were talking about my hair, and I kind of laid into you. Those have to be the 2 most popular viral videos from things that I have said that then people, they clip out just a portion of it and then they use it. And it's just so funny. So there's actually a GIF now of me saying it's sweet, it's sweet, it's sweet. Lord have mercy. What can I say? You know, it is what it is. So as a matter of fact, let me just play it for y'all so you can see. It's sweet, it's sweet. I'm going to make that a permanent, we're going to embed that into something that we can use here on the show. Anyway, folks, I hope we've added some degree of clarity on, you know, what is going on within the government. Let's go through this list in detail a little bit more tomorrow, this cabinet paper, because I think we want to review a few things. Cece says they've been open far too long now for them to still catch in that small corner, and it takes hours to get your phone. Yeah, they could do a little bit better. But like I said, sometimes you get a little bit, you're a product of your own success. You start to do really well. And then I'm sure Wells thinks like they make enough money. So even if they miss 10, 12, 20 orders, they're not missing it. Like they're not like, oh my God, we really need to step up because we need to, And it's unfortunate because I think it's one of the perils of small to medium-sized businesses. You do well enough, and then you don't understand how to transition to like the next step and how to level up on your customer service. And the inability to level up on your customer service when you're a restaurant in the restaurant business can be detrimental. But because their food is decent and because the prices are good, everybody's still going to Wells, although everybody complains about the service. But I've given them some recommendations, like this would be relatively easy to fix. Speaking of companies leveraging technology, big shout out to Foster's. I was at, I think it was Foster's, Cayman Bay, and I saw the signage outside the door. So this would have been Tuesday when I did my little tooth extraction. I went in to get my medication at the pharmacy. And because, listen, within an hour, it was already throbbing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to need some meds. So I went to the pharmacy, got the prescription filled because I had to go back to the dentist. I couldn't go very far. So I went to that particular location. Then I came out, I saw signage. Apparently Foster's has continued this whole online ordering thing. So you can order your groceries online and pay for them. And I think, I didn't read everything on the sign, but I think that this is a pickup service where you actually then go and pick up the groceries. So I don't know if they like pre-pack it for you and just have it ready. But you guys remember that during COVID, of course, there was this whole situation with people trying to figure out how to get groceries. So everybody was like, grocery delivery services started to come into their own and that sort of thing. So you know what, folks, it's still a great idea for people, I think, to get used to those types of services, start to go online. And the thing about it, from my perspective, is I'm like, listen, make it happen before it's a necessity. Because when you're in lockdown and then it's a necessity, it's like, oh my gosh, the rush is on. We don't know what to do. We got to throw something together. No, take your time now that we're not in a lockdown yet. We may go back there after those borders reopen, but, take your time and try to implement a program now that you can work out the kinks. It's a little bit slower and whatever. And then when you fully launch it, or you're in the middle of a lockdown, a pandemic, whatever, and, you have to then do it with a certain degree of urgency, you've got it kind of worked out. So I thought that was really nice when I saw that. So yeah, CC reminds us that Kirk has been doing home deliveries even before the pandemic. So big up to them as well. Yeah. I mean, leverage technology businesses. So Shannon says that the pickup service is $10 and she's been wanting to use it. It's good because if I don't know, I haven't checked it out. So maybe we can ask Foster's exactly how it works. But if they have, all of the products online where you can pick the brand and whatever, and you see the pricing, everything's accurate, then I don't see anything wrong with shopping online. Hello, Walmart, you can do it. Walmart grocery is a thing. And they're doing like regular delivery services every week. If you want them to bring you bread and milk and whatever, they'll do all of those things. Sue, I think I mentioned before that that's not as easy as you may think. Again, they were having finance committee meetings. They were not having meetings where they could reverse and undo decisions that had already been made. All right. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little bit early today because I want to get to court. Again, a bit of breaking news here in the program. They have charged one of the young men that they've arrested for the murder of Mr. Wayne McLean. Now, listen to how crazy this is. I know a young man in West Bay. This is how sad, and I'm going to leave the show on this note because I've been talking about this before, how when these young men are popping off and they're shooting people and all this kind of stuff, they don't impact just one person. They impact the lives of a lot of people. So there's someone in West Bay who was sharing to me that the young man who died is closely related to them, very closely related to them. And the alleged shooter who's now been charged, one of the alleged shooters who's now been charged, is a cousin. So it's like they're related through mother and father. This one person is kind of like, wow, I can't believe my own cousin just shot I don't want to say what he is because then you'll know who the person is, but shot someone who's really, really close to them. Family, blood, both blood. And I'm like, Cayman is small. And these are the repercussions and the implications of what happens when you hurt people in such a small community. You're hurting your own family, really. And then the two young men that they have arrested for this are both cousins. No, child, I'm not gonna be saying nothing once the trial starts. We will be very, very careful with our reporting. And I don't want y'all to be making no comments in the comment section because apparently some criminals have made the argument that because Cayman is so small, if we start talking about their case and they have a jury trial, especially, that we will prejudice their case. So we will not be making that mistake. So yes, we're going to keep it very, very tight. And we're only going to discuss certain things once the court proceedings begin. The court proceedings have not begun as yet. So we will see. All right. So I'm going to rush so I can get to court and see what's going on. And good morning, Rhonda. She says, good information. Some Caymanians make their memory short when they want it to be. Don't forget that the Turtle Center gave themselves a pay raise before this government. Also, a lot of money walked out the door. Never heard any more about it. There is something breaking at the Turtle Center as well. We're going to bring it to you a little bit later on this morning. Folks, y'all have a beautiful day. Do your thing. Go out there and earn your money legitimately. And we'll see you back here. I'll probably do a live stream from court, depending on what happens. So just keep a little eye out for Facebook. Normally, we don't do live stream even on YouTube when it's like on the fly. So keep it tuned, keep it locked, and we will see you guys a bit later on.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.